everyone.
What's up guys, Unofficial MCU here, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my Marvel Secret Invasion Episode 4 review video. Let's go ahead and hop right on into it. Things are beginning to get explosive as we near the finale of the 6-episode show, sometimes literally, as we head into the second half of Secret Invasion. Episode 4 is a chapter of significant reveals, pulling back the curtain on one of the Skrull Rebellion's biggest secrets, and enacting some of Leader Gravik's most dastardly moves. It's damning, then, that this is a mercifully short episode and the weakest of the season so far, suffering from impactless drama, poor dialogue, and a dull direction, reads from IGN.com in their article. I'll have it linked in the description down below. I totally disagree with everything that they say right here, but we'll go ahead and continue on with the rest of what they have to say here as they read. As you'd expect from the middle act of an espionage thriller, this week's Secret Invasion starts to unravel the story's knots and play some of its major cards. But every single one of these dramatic reveals and revelations feels muted. Some were so clearly telegraphed in prior episodes that they simply are not surprises, while another is given so little room to breathe that it feels far from the major event that it should really be. While there's definitely a sense that significant things are happening and that the plot is moving forward, of course, with some pace, and the lack of a genuine shock or surprise means it all feels at best mundane and it's at worst inconsequential. The events of Secret Invasion should feel pivotal to the MCU, but even in its most eventful half hour, it feels disappointingly dull, reads IGN in their article, which I disagree with. For anything, episode 4 has to have been one of the best episodes of Secret Invasion so far. It was short and sweet, straight to the point, and action-packed, and I loved every other second of it. And I definitely do believe there to be some major consequences going forward. With that massive cliffhanger towards the end of the show, everything that's going on with Rhodey, then there's a lot of questions with that, and I'll have another video talking about Rhodey and explaining everything with that, but apparently he's been a Skrull. We all had our feelings and our fan theories kind of out there that yes, he was going to be a Skrull because of what we saw with him in episode 2, I believe I want to say, when he fires Nick Fury from whatever Nick Fury does, I guess. I also found that a little bit odd and out of whack that he's able to just up and fire Nick Fury. I was just kind of questioning, like, does Nick Fury even like work for you or for the government or anything like that? I thought that he was still maybe an agent or an independent agent, much rather. But the fact that Rhodey is a Skrull is a big confirmation going forward for the MCU. How long has he been a Skrull? And where's the real Rhodey? Was there ever even a real Rhodey? And who the heck else is an actual Skrull? And as I had also mentioned earlier on, the whole plot twist that we saw towards the end of the episode with Nick Fury leaving Talos behind. I think that Talos might come back with a little bit of vengeance and despair towards Nick Fury and the overall human race. Is he going to switch sides and join Gravik, I think, is the question now, or are we just going to see him at like a heightened moment towards the finale of the overall show, maybe in episode 5 or episode 6, of where he is helping actually Nick Fury and he comes in as a last moment, a last resort type of thing. There's a lot of questions with this overall episode moving forward, and I'll be talking about this stuff here in and out on the channel. All the more reason that hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, much better scripting can also be found in a playful conversation between Nick Fury and Don Cheadle's Rhodey, which makes full use of Jackson's signature wit. But good as the sequence is, it once again brings in the question Secret Invasion's struggle with its overall tone and genre at that, which seems to be a common complaint when it comes to IGN and their article. So remember, this isn't me talking. It's a color palette, subject matter, and events frequently drive home that this is a serious, gritty outing for the MCU and more down to earth with its characters. And yet it still feels like the need for it to deliver on the franchise's seemingly mandatory comedy quota. That promise of the MCU was that it could be used in its many different characters and stories to explore a variety of genres, but Secret Invasion is further proof that it can escape its own formula trappings, which is something I do have to agree with, oddly enough, in IGN and their overall article here, is the use of comedy is a common and frequent complaint amongst Marvel fans. Non-Marvel and die-hard Marvel fans and just casual watchers or whatever, it seems to be a common complaint with the MCU that they're always trickling in jokes and comedy scenes here and there where it's something that isn't necessarily needed. And I have to agree and disagree with what IGN in their article is saying here. I think that this, for instance, this sequence here between Rhodey and Nick Fury, it's used in a well manner. If it's something that fits, and if it's something that's not necessarily required for the overall narrative, but if it fits the overall narrative as a storyline, then it's something that, of course, should be involved and actually in it. It's not necessarily in the fact of that we're in a major, like, scene or something going on, and then all of a sudden we're turning to the side and we're cracking a joke, like you would normally see with an MCU show or movie or whatever the case may be, and instead this overall scene kind of revolves around quick, kind of nitty jokes, rather. That being said, is comedy the worst thing ever? Is it a make or break thing? No, of course not. Now, after a fairly action-light first 3 episodes, this week sees an extended sequence of gunfire, explosions, and crashing vehicles. This felt like something that you might see when you're playing with your Legos or your action figures when you were younger, or maybe you still do, like me. No, anyway, but despite the potential for excitement, the scene is directed in a pedestrian fashion that does a lot to elevate your heart rate at that. Now, while it uses the muted colors of the Russo's Captain America films, there's none of the Winter Soldier's energy to the shooting style, nor the fun framing of Civil War. Instead, we have a series of boilerplate images of men with guns, punctured by CGI shots of missiles and helicopters that feel oddly choppy. This here is IGN complaining for you at its best. Characters move almost reactionless through the fray in moments in which there's supposed to be some crunch. Some, and such as when Ben Mendelsohn's Talos punches his way through a window that feels flat and flimsy. While the lack of superheroes always meant that Secret Invasion was going to be a miss of the action flair of other MCU projects compared to its movies and shows, it's baffling that it doesn't even try to match the energetic direction of the Bourne movies that are arguably the origin point for Marvel's espionage aesthetic. Now, as I had mentioned, IGN has quite a lot to say here with everything that went on with that pretty amazing action scene, and my thoughts on it, it was amazing. It was nothing short of amazing. CGI was amazing. Everything about it was awesome, action-packed, and I loved it, and it kept me at the edge of my seat the entire time. Now, perhaps Episode 4's biggest failure, though, however, reading from IGN in their article, though, is to add of any sense of the complexity to Gravik's plot. It didn't have a lot to do with Gravik this episode. It was something that was more short and sweet, which I agree with. I'd much rather save that big reveal for the last couple of episodes, like episode 5 or 6 that we'll be getting this week. The Skrulls' rebellion is working to take control of the entirety of the planet, and yet there's still no great sense of how Gravik aims to achieve this. Last week's episode revolved around simply infiltrating a nuclear submarine, with little time spent explaining how the Skrulls achieved this and why it was vital to their overall plan. It's a similar story this week, another route concept with a little underpinning, and once again, the only real detail in the plan is that the Skrulls' ability to disguise themselves as humans allows them to do pretty much anything that they please at that. But it's not just Gravik's side of the war that suffers from such simplification. This week, we also see Talos explain his own plans for survival, and it's equally weak in its reasoning. Secret Invasion should be naughty, twisty, and layered with complications. Instead, all we have is bare-bones ideas that's already outstayed its welcome, and I once again disagree with IGN in their article. They have a lot of complaints, I think, to a point. I think that Secret Invasion does have a lot of different layers in the sense of a lot of different moving parts. You have a lot of different characters are doing X, Y, and Z, and it's something I'm very excited to see come all together here towards the end and with the finale of the show. Overall, in my thoughts and opinions, Secret Invasion has been nothing short of amazing. I can't wait for the show to wrap up here with its final 2 episodes. We're going to have tons of different reveals. We're going to be talking about it and discussing all of it, explaining all of it. We're also going to be talking about and covering all types of Marvel-related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. So if you guys are into any of that, go ahead, grab that subscribe button if you haven't already, and join us here on the channel today. Guys, I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comment section down below. This has been Unofficial MCU. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.